Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. People are lining up. They're showing up already. It's September 22nd, 2020. The month of September is coming to a screeching halt. And today is the BluePrint Power Hour. Many of you love it. Post your questions. We're only on YouTube right now because we're being banned by Facebook. I actually feel good about this now. Someone emailed me, someone I have a lot of respect for, and says you're getting noticed when Facebook starts playing games with you, and they are playing a game with me. They claim I made a post on September 11th about Osama bin Laden that I didn't, and for that they banned me from live streaming for 30 days. I think we have like 24 days left. But the show goes on without them. The hell with them. Of course, we have to thank our title sponsor for all of the support that they give us, and that is Legendary Foods. The website is eatlegendary.com. The code is SHR10 for 10% off your entire purchase. I get emails all the time from people who talk about how much they love the nut butters at Legendary Foods. That's my secret weapon. When I feel like I need something sweet after a meal, I'll just dip into one of the nut butters. They're fantastic. The flavors are ridiculous. No sugar. No sugar. They taste decadent. Try any one of the nut butters. I promise you'll love them. And don't forget to check out the Tasty Pastry, which is a Pop-Tart that has been upgraded with 9 grams of high leucine protein, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 3 to 4 impact carbs. And we have new flavors coming out, I believe, in October that are going to astonish you. Don't forget, these are the people that created Quest Nutrition, that sold for $1 billion just 9 years after. And we were one of the first, we were the first podcast that they ever advertised with. And we like to think that we contributed a great deal to their success, and they think that as well. So go check them out, eatlegendary.com, SHR10 for 10% off. Now we'll play Rob's music, and we'll get him on the air.
Calling all BluePrint Army, fall in line. It's time for the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
How you doing, Coach? Rob, are you there? You're frozen, Rob, if you can hear me. Rob, you're frozen. It's funny. He's just staring at me. That's it. Okay, so I don't know what to do. We can wait for Rob to reconnect. Hi, Rob. If you don't know you're frozen, then I don't know what to do. There he goes. He's dropping out now. Okay, he'll reconnect here in a second. There we go.
Give me 1 sec. Give me 1 sec.
Yeah. No problem. We'll just take him off screen for now while he's doing his thing. But yeah, I guess I should be proud that Facebook is shadow banning me. I noticed that my posts aren't getting the views and activity that they've given before. The guy who told me you should be happy, you're being noticed, also said that they're gonna keep following me. They're gonna keep watching me. They're gonna try to make it harder and harder. I know this is because of my political views. I know that's exactly why. But you know what? I should be entitled to my political views without being banned from a platform like Facebook. I really should. All right, without further delay, let's bring Rob back up. Hey, did your battery go dead or something? Rob, I don't know.
I just wanted to make sure the cable was in okay.
Yeah, because
I just checked the cable.
Okay. Because you're okay. Really breaking up. But are you on wireless or hardwired Ethernet?
No, I'm hardwired. That's why I got up to check the wire.
Okay, good. Okay, well, it looks like it's stabilizing now. How are you, Rob?
I'm doing well, thanks. I passed that info by my son about Facebook, and he said, "Dad, Facebook is dead." He said they're dead in the water. Bad, and they're rolling something out now to compete, I guess, with Amazon. And he said, Dad, just stay away from that, because I was looking at their stock the other day.
Well, I mean, from an investment standpoint, I think their stock is probably worthwhile. It's gonna remain to see what happens. What happens? Hey, Danny. So let's give some people shout outs. Carrie Kruger is listening from South Africa. Love to have you here. That's great. Danny Geraldo is listening from Colombia. Huh? We're worldwide, baby. We're like
Wow.
Pitbull, man. We're worldwide. Anabolic 2K, is it live on Facebook? Can't find it. No. If you heard the beginning of the show, Facebook they completely scammed me. Like, I wish there was something I can do about it, but there's really nothing I can do about it because I'm like this ant. But they sent me they didn't send me a notice. I went to go live on Facebook and it said I was blocked. And when I looked deeper, they claim I made a derogatory post about Osama bin Laden on September 11th. And that goes against their community standards. Now, keep in mind, when you make a post that they're going to take down, you get a message that says, we're taking this post down because it doesn't meet our community standards, and here's why. My social media person, Natalie Kapitsky, she went through our inbox. She said, there's nothing from them. So the whole thing is a scam. It was a scam to block me from reaching people on Facebook.
Are they pro bin Laden?
I don't know. That's the other thing I said. Like, if I said something bad about bin Laden, like, why are you defending him and banning me, right? But no, it's not that. It's not that. They just created this event. It's like a cop planting drugs on you and then arresting you for drugs. That's what they did. They're scumbags. They're basically scumbags, and they know it. They don't care because they feel they can impact people's lives. Yes, thank you so much. No lockdown this summer. I hope so too. Tommy D, he says 2 overseas nootropic research chemical vendors both closed their doors to the U.S. customers on the same day, September 17th. Any info on that? We'll try to get to that stuff. All right, we'll get to everybody's comments and questions, but let's start out with the beginning. How's your training? We're always talking about training here. It's the most important.
My training's going great.
Mine too. It really is.
Yeah, no, it felt really good. So much so yesterday I had to stop myself, which we'll talk about a little bit later on.
So let's go ahead and get right to the first question. The first question comes from Mike Demers. What do you think is the most overlooked supplement in sports nutrition? Food.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm being an ass.
This is actually a great question, and it's probably something I should have addressed earlier. I tried to do it with Synthogen, but I'll get into that in a bit. The easy answer is this: magnesium. And so you've probably heard me and others say magnesium is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. The question, everybody always says that. The question is, what does that really mean? It means this, and this is just scratching the surface. It regulates protein synthesis, muscle contraction, nerve function, blood glucose levels, blood pressure. It's also required for energy production, glycolysis.
Insulin sensitivity. I mean, you said
insulin
sensitivity.
The list just goes on and on. And if you still doubt magnesium's importance, consider this. The RDAs for it, or RDIs, follow a consistent linear increase as a man gets older. In fact, magnesium requirements for somebody my age, 50 and older, are even greater than they are for teenagers. When you would think, right, they're growing a lot more, they would need more. No, you actually need more later on in life. And so it's this constant growing need for the threshold level of magnesium. Now, consider this sobering fact. Those recommendations I just gave you or told you about, they're for the general public. They're not for athletes.
Right. Because if you're sweating a lot, you're losing more.
You're right. A lot more. So it brings me to deficiency. Data from the most recent National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey suggest that up to 75% of North Americans are deficient in magnesium. And if you don't think that matters, think again. The range of pathologies associated with magnesium deficiency is staggering. That is not my opinion. That is not my view. That is a direct quote from one of the many studies that are looking at that issue, and feel free to pull them up on PubMed. They're not hard to find. The simple fact of the matter is most people don't eat foods that are rich in magnesium, right, in the first place. And even if you did, you would probably still come up short. Why? Because we have so over-farmed the land and stripped the soil of its nutrient value. You know, it's not even funny. Yes, we feed everyone in this country. Yes, we also feed the world. There's a price to pay for that. You know, we never let nature put back. So unfortunately, even if you're eating foods high in magnesium, it's likely that you're still going to be deficient. Now, I mentioned Synthogen earlier. One of the 16 ingredients is magnesium aspartate. And the reason it's there is very specific, but it's also very broad ranging. Because when I sat down to do it, I said, okay, what do I want this product to do? I want stronger muscle contractions. I want more protein synthesis. I want increased nucleotide pools. I want more ATP, even without creatine. And I wanted greater, faster messenger RNA translation in the ribosome, which requires a lot of RNA, right, and DNA substrate. What I ultimately discovered was that for all of those processes, magnesium had an effect that I'll call permissive for optimal function. So it still worked without it, because when I pulled individual ingredients out of it to see how much was, you know, which ones were making the big difference. It'll still work without it, but the effect wasn't nearly as pronounced. And so I tell people magnesium is like the spark that sets the fire for all of those other 300 enzymatic reactions. On a lesser scale, I would say it's true for everyone that's using supplementation. Everything works better with magnesium, sometimes a lot better. It is, and it makes sense, right? I mean, name me one other supplement per se that covers so many bases on so many reactions like that. I can't. Maybe somebody else can, but I can't. I think so much of magnesium keep extra on hand for myself and for my wife, because it's kind of a go-to rescue medication for her for muscle cramps. And if anybody's ever had them, you know, they're no laughing matter. I mean, the most scared I ever was when she was having cramps that just were not resolving. And I was a second away from calling 911. You know, it's scary stuff. But within, I don't know, 5-10 minutes of taking a good absorbable magnesium, they're a lot less or gone. And she's not the only one that has, I've seen that happen in. So given all that it does and the evidence for widespread deficiency and its availability, I think it's easily the most overlooked, underutilized supplement out there. So here are your guidelines. Women, I would shoot for at least 300 milligrams a day, and men at least 400 milligrams of either magnesium aspartate, citrate, picolinate, or orotate. Orotates in particular do a nice job doing double duty elsewhere, which is kind of what I was saying with Synthogen, right? It affects a lot more than just magnesium related issues. It's kind of hard to find, but it's worth it. So, and that's also the reason, by the way, you see orotic acid in Synthogen. Orotates are a kind of last ditch effort for minerals and other things that the body does not absorb well. When you bind them to an orotate, boom, amazing things happen. And magnesium is one of those things. So for athletes in particular, magnesium orotate would be my go-to source.
So we have a sponsor. Uh-oh. Audio coming back. Can you lower your volume just a little bit, Rob? Because my voice is coming back at me. So we have a sponsor called Bioptimizers, and they make a product called Magnesium Breakthrough. If you go to the website, Magnesium Breakthrough, we used to have a special link, but we haven't been promoting it.
Yeah.
Let me make sure this is the red. But we have a sponsor called Bioptimizers. They have, this is them. They have a product called Magnesium Breakthrough. It is every form of magnesium that you could imagine in about 4 different capsules. All the ones you listed plus other ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to check that out.
Yeah. Go to the website, magnesiumbreakthrough.com. You try using the code SHR or SHR10. Yep. If that doesn't work, just let them know you heard about it here on Superhuman Radio, because that is that's the best magnesium supplement I've ever seen. And
Great.
like I said, it's good. And Danny, that should answer your question. Both what Rob said. So magnesium glycinate is a good form. It's actually a really good form to take at night before bed, because the glycine that it's bonded to will relax you. So yes, it is. But they're all good for different things. They all do different things. In fact, a month and a half, 2 months ago, I did a show just about magnesium with the folks from Bioptimizers. If you can go find that show, maybe I'll try to find it during the break and post the link,
post it,
because they discuss the value of every different form of magnesium and what it does for you. So I'll get that. Now, I don't normally do this, but because you used the word deficiency so many times in that last conversation, I have to tell a joke. I hope everyone will humor me.
Okay.
So this Italian couple, they're trying to get pregnant, and she can't get pregnant. So she goes to the OBGYN and she gets examined, and the OBGYN says, you have a deficiency in your uterus. So she goes back home, and her husband, Angelo, says, "What did you find out?" She says, the doctor told me I have a fish in my uterus. He said, "What are you talking about? That's crazy. Go back to that doctor and get the explanation from him." So she goes back to the doctor. She says, "Doctor, my husband, Angelo, he doesn't understand what you said." And so the doctor says, "You have a deficiency in your uterus, and if you get pregnant, it'll be a miracle." She goes back, and Angelo said, "What did the doctor say?" She says, "Well, he said I have a fish in my uterus, and if I get pregnant, it'll be a mackerel." I had to tell that joke because you kept saying the word deficiency. It brought back the name, that joke to me for a second. All right. Pat says, "I've been using a lot of waxy maize. I didn't even think people still used it, and experimented with it for a while, but don't see what the big deal is." Yeah, I'm with you. Isn't it supposed to be better than sugar, or at least in post-workout drinks? Hell, my mother used to use waxy maize to starch shirts. That's what comes out of those cans that they used to use to starch shirts when you're. That's it.
Yeah. And so what he's really talking about here are, in one sense, it's what you said, right? It's no big deal. It's really no big deal. And on the other sense, it represents an entire class of compounds called designer carbohydrates, which were really hot years ago, but they're still used in sports nutrition, and I still use one of them, which I'll discuss. But to really understand waxy maize, you need to understand the history of carbohydrates in sports nutrition, because history is repeating itself. So in the early 1980s, Mike Zumpano, who co-wrote the Underground Steroid Handbook with Dan Duchesne, he came across a most interesting discovery, maltodextrin. And so the deal with maltodextrin is that depending upon how many glucose molecules are put together, 2 to a lot more, it behaves somewhere between the sugar and the starch. And it was really, it wasn't out there as a supplement, certainly. In fact, prior to its use in bodybuilding, the primary exposure you had to it was on the back of a postage stamp. And so it was unique. And Zumpano went and he started to shop it around. He first pitched it to Weider, who very famously passed on it. Whereas Unipro, on the other hand, and some of you may be old enough to remember this, Unipro went all in with a product called Carboplex. And when Carboplex hit, it didn't just revolutionize bodybuilding, it went worldwide. So in sports nutrition, it found its way into everything from protein bars to weight gainers, in large part because it was so inexpensive. When weight gainers were hot, the primary ingredient in every weight gainer was maltodextrin. And typically you bought 2 to 4, sometimes 5 or more pounds of the stuff. Maltodextrin, at least at that time, was 50 cents a pound. And you know, these weight gainers were going for 40, 50, sometimes more dollars. And this is 20, 25 years ago. So it certainly got put to work in sports nutrition. But today you can find maltodextrin in everything from infant formula to pudding to baked goods at your local grocery store.
It's actually a horrible high glycemic. It's supposed to be low glycemic, but it's really not. It's a horrible carbohydrate source. It's horrible.
Yeah,
and it's cheap.
A lot of us found that out the hard way, particularly with those weight gainers. But as with everything else, consumers eventually demanded more. And so when they started hearing about designer carbohydrates, this time it was from Dan Duchaine, and anything that came from Dan's lips was pretty much gospel. He talked about the fact that eventually we would be able to selectively tailor carbohydrates into fast, medium, and long chains, and therefore regulate its impact on blood sugar and use it at an appropriate time. Whether you wanted a long release one for a marathon or you wanted a quick release one for post-workout to get insulin up, he was really hot on this stuff. The first one, to my memory, that hit the market was Vitargo. I don't even know if they make it still.
It's still out there. And Vitargo said that their product was the one that was studied for the low molecular weight carbohydrate source. The low molecular weight carbohydrate source that was studied was from potato.
Yes.
Vitargo wasn't
right.
from potato. They got called on the carpet for that. Remember that? I don't know if you remember that. When the research on low molecular weight carbohydrate sources came out, it was done on potato starch, not cornstarch.
Right.
And
their form. Go ahead.
No, I said Vitargo was cornstarch, I believe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
You're back now, yeah.
Okay. So, in fact, I think Vitargo's formula changed. I'm almost certain of it, between what was originally sold and then what was sold later on.
Yeah, because they got called on the carpet for using a study, but using something different. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so eventually other products appeared and it became very confusing, you know, between maltodextrin and Vitargo and high molecular weight modified starches. One thing that the public was able to grasp, and I'm not sure why, they thought they wanted waxy maize. And the sad truth of the matter is this: waxy maize is just another name for cornstarch. And so most of the waxy maize being sold back then, and maybe even now, was just that. It was cornstarch, which, by the way, if you go to your local grocery store, you can buy big bags of fluffy white powder, cornstarch, for $1 or $2. And so I did this, and I brought it home, and I had a big 5-pound jug of, you know, super duper waxy maize powder right next to it. It was the same damn
when you
thing.
Looked at it. And when you
Right.
when you squeeze it between your hands, it has that squishy, squeaky feel, right? It kind of
right.
Yeah, you're talking about that.
And so here I've got huge bags of it, right? For maybe a total of $4. I paid $45 for 5 pounds of the same damn thing because it was sold by a sports nutrition company. So, that's just long story short there. Waxy maize is nothing special. There are designer carbohydrates, some of which are worth it. And so I'll put a stick in the sand here. I like Dr. Galini's Carbolin.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, in 2012, I did I stuck myself a lot with the glucometer, testing these various formulas to get to the optimal intra-workout drink. I did Vitargo, I did Carbolin, I did Waxy Maize, and at the end of the day, the clear winner to me was Carbolin. And so Carbolin, if it hasn't changed, is derived from three sources: potato, corn, and what's the other one? Rice, I think.
Right.
But it's a very unique product, and I will use it post-workout, even on a low carbohydrate diet. If you have the right designer carbohydrate, you will know when you are able to drink 25 to 50 grams of it, and the carbs don't show on you like they do, like if you had done that with bread, right? Or with junk carbs.
You get water under your skin, it spills over. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can sit there if you want with the glucometer and sticking yourself, but I got to tell you, the novelty, rubs off real fast.
I know.
Right.
So there are two forms of sugar if you want to use it for pre and intra workout that I can tell you are fantastic. I don't use sugar. I train fasted, but if I'm going to train and I need something to get me through a long, arduous session, I'll use Cyclic Dextrin. Cyclic Dextrin is one. The other one is D-ribose. D-ribose is very expensive. But both of these forms of sugar will be exclusively used to produce muscle energy and ATP, and will be out of your bloodstream in an hour. They're very fast acting, and that's why you should use them pre and during workouts. D-ribose is actually a sugar they give to heart failure patients, because D-ribose is preferentially used by the heart to pump. Your heart is the limiting factor on how hard you can train. Your brain may want to train longer, but when your heart feels like you're putting it in the danger zone, it tells the brain, stop. So things like acetyl L-carnitine and D-ribose and magnesium, those are three golden pre-workout strategies because they make the heart capable of working harder. And the other thing is cyclic dextrin. If you're a train fasted / keto / low carb person, and like you don't want to use something because you want to stay in ketosis, if you take cyclic dextrin, start out with 20 to 30 grams. Some people, you'll know if you're taking too much because it'll make you go poopy. But stay around 20 grams. Stay about 20 grams pre-workout, just 20 minutes. Like if you're driving to the gym, throw it down. You'll burn through that, and you'll feel different. You'll feel the energy. You'll feel strong, and then you'll start to feel when it's wearing off, because all of a sudden you'll be like, man, I think I'm done now. But it'll burn off, and you won't have high blood sugar levels after your training. So you don't have to worry about being kicked out of ketosis or anything like that. Those are two magic sugars nobody talks about. Nobody.
And so is D-ribose out there in bulk still?
It's so expensive. I mean, I was buying it for my father. When my father had heart failure, I was giving him that's the Sinatra, Dr. Steven Sinatra, who was a cardiologist who cracked people's chest over to save them. He created the Sinatra protocol. If you have anybody in your life that is struggling with heart failure, this is a great first step to saving their lives. There are other steps too that require a little bit more aggressive treatment with some peptides and stuff like that. Magnesium, acetyl L-carnitine, and D-ribose will change their lives. My ex-mother-in-law, when she had COPD, her heart was failing, and we got her on that, and she was able to get up and walk around and be active again. So it really works. But now think about this. If it'll save someone who's that's seeing a heart start to fail, what will it do for performance? Think about it. Like, if it could save somebody from the precipices of heart failure, imagine what it could do for you if you train hard and you want your heart to really friggin' work with you.
I remember when it was rolled out, they were positioning it as maybe the next creatine. And it was Iron Man, the old Iron Man magazine. It was their supplement line.
It was expensive.
Yes, I recall.
Now we're selling a little jar this big. I think I paid like $25 for each one of those for my father.
Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting and overlooked ingredient. I'll give you that. And a lot of times people forget that it's a sugar, technically a sugar. But I remember the studies. I remember the studies done on the heart patients. Because I said, okay, what is this stuff? And I started to look into it, and it was all there, man. People with compromised hearts, they're giving this stuff to them, and they're making turnarounds like crazy.
Remember Andre, our friend in South Africa? He just posted a question. He says, hey, coach, what about multi-cyclic dextrin? I think that's what I'm just talking about now.
Yeah, it's the same thing as what you're referencing.
Yeah,
I guess this is what confused, and it's a very confusing topic. Branch cyclodextrin, multi-cyclic dextrin, waxy maize. A lot of people just throw their hands up and say, well, how am I supposed to know? Here's, like I said before, just do the mirror test. Drink 25 to 50 grams. And if it doesn't show on you at all, and you don't get real sleepy or you get real crazy, then you have the designer carbohydrate for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of questions loading up, and we will get to every question and comment, I promise you. So stick with us here. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll pick it up on the other side. Stay tuned. No more jokes. I won't waste any more time, I promise.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
My friends over at Bioptimizers, makers of industry-leading digestive supplements, have created a special recipe for you that helps boost brain performance in the morning. They make products Primergen V and Primergen M, potent liquid vitamins and mineral formulas loaded with absorbable vitamin Bs and trace minerals in a fulvic and humic acid base. You stack that with 3 capsules of Capex, their enzyme and energy supplement, and the effect is even stronger. You'll be buzzing without jitters or any negative side effects for hours. Bioptimizers calls this the Brain Boost Stack, and they're running a special promotion for you at shrnetwork.biz/brainstack. That's shrnetwork.biz/BRAINSTACK. You can get an additional 10% off from the normal package price with the coupon code SHR10. It's a powerful way to get your brain going and optimize your daily focus, memory, and performance. You've heard me talk about the chill pill on the show and how effective it is at helping people who suffer from social anxiety, or sometimes when you just want to take the edge off to a long, stressful day. Well, listen to this story from Dylan Goutreau.
Definitely takes anxiety away, which I have a long history of having. Started out at 2 milligrams a day of Xanax. That was at 8 years old. And so I stopped using benzos 3 years ago. Extremely difficult. Yeah, so I spent about 3 years trying to find anything and everything I could that would be healthy for me to help with anxiety. Because I'm talking, full out panic attack. The chill pill was the first thing that I found that actually in the middle of a panic attack I can take, and it definitely subsides.
Go to drseeds.com. That's DRSEEDS.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your first bottle of the chill pill. Check it out. I promise this is one supplement that delivers.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to PIEDMONTESE.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Among the easiest and most popular ways to experience the life-altering benefits of hemp, Planet Earth CBD soft gels offer fast-acting effects as they release quickly. Made in a GMP-compliant, US FDA-registered facility, you can count on Planet Earth's safe soft gels. These soft gels provide temporary relief from pain and so much more. Manufactured with the calming combination of chamomile and melatonin, you got yourself a long-needed CBD solution. 25 milligrams of nano-emulsified hemp extract per serving with anti-inflammatory agency. Planet Earth sleep-supporting soft gels will have you forgetting about today's worries for a better tomorrow. Unwind with Planet Earth CBD today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back. Welcome back. We got a lot of people listening to the show live. It makes my heart filled with joy because all of you are warriors helping us overcome the horrible treatment we're getting from Facebook right now. And we know that this is what they're doing. They're doing it on purpose. You know what? That's okay. This show's been around for 14, it's going to be 15 years in November, third week of November. And I've had lots of obstacles. I had a judge give my ex-wife the URL for my website, and my traffic went from 300,000 visitors a month to zero, like that. I mean, I've had so many obstacles try to take this show down. If nothing else, I won't allow anybody to take this show down because we actually help people. Unlike Facebook, we actually change lives. So there you go. All right, let's go with some questions that are showing up, and then we'll go back to the ones that were mailed in. How's that sound? So Tommy D asked this question earlier, and I don't know anything about it. 2 overseas nootropic research chemical vendors, Chemical Collective and Mondial K, both closed their doors to U.S. customers on the same day, September 17th. Any info on recent regulation changes? What do you think? Could be just the same owners and they went out of business.
Well, yeah, that's news to me. And I'm not saying that's not the case, but it almost sounds like if in fact there's some sort of regulation, almost sounds like the FDA published some bulletin or warning. So a trip to their website would be my first stop. You know, with respect to nootropics altogether, vendors I've noticed are very different in what they are willing to ship to the United States. There's a concern, and it's a legitimate concern, that they will be swept up in these regulations that, you know, Washington likes to come out with. Case in point, you know, the pro-hormone companies or the SARM companies, almost everything came out of China. Well, you know, as of 1/1/2020, there were some law changes in China which are really cracking down on those people. So it's a long way of saying there are more than a few that like to keep a very low profile, and this may be part of their very low profile. It's also not forever. I've seen some nootropic outlets say, you know what, we're no longer shipping that stuff. And 3 months later,
they're just not shipping to the U.S. I'm on their website. All they've changed is they're not shipping to the U.S. That's it.
Sometimes they'll make a change. They'll stop shipping. 3 months later, after the heat's off, they're shipping. Yeah. So,
you know, during in 2006, I want to say, when we had one of the Olympics here in the United States, our government told China, if any growth hormone shows up in the United States, like, we're going to hold you guys responsible. So the Chinese government identified the head of their FDA as allowing growth hormone to leave China and go to the U.S. They killed him. They put him in front of a firing squad. They killed, and then the new guy who stepped in was like, I'm not going to get killed. So they like, all growth hormone to the United States dried up. Anthony Roberts and I did a show about it. All growth hormone to the United States dried up. And everybody was like, oh my God, we're never going to get growth hormone again. No, once the Olympics were over here, it was business as usual. And you can get all the growth hormone you want from China all over again.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. You know, repercussions. This might be an exercise in avoiding those, and so they lay low for a while.
Yes. So Danny says, like you said, show Facebook the biggest finger. We are. Those of you who are here are helping us do that. So here's a question from Rob Hartnett. He said, Rob, are you still working on formulating a pre-workout, or is that on hold for the time being?
That is actually a project that I had to abandon. That's the bad news. The good news is every single ingredient, the entire formula, I am disclosing in next month's bulletin.
So you can make your own now. That's it.
Right, exactly. So I thought to myself, look, you know, if I can't do this and do it well, then these guys, at least they can order the raws and use it. So, yeah, that's kind of my way of trying to turn a positive or turn a negative into a positive.
That's very selfless of you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We have one more question we'll answer, and then we'll go on to the pre. So Chris Casius, hope I pronounced that right, Chris. Coach Rob, I purchased GABA in powder form, as mentioned in your bulletin. Am I able to mix it in with coffee or tea or juice instead of water? I used to just throw it in my mouth and rinse it down.
You know, my sense is all of those would be acceptable. The really important part of that is trying to do so on as empty a stomach as possible. Now, they will tell you that GABA doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. I believe it does. Your cue as to whether or not it did and it's working is usually the paresthesia, the slight flushing effect that people get from GABA.
Yeah.
Right, and then you get you start to nod off because it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter that's dynamite for sleep. So, you know, those seem acceptable to me. I would probably choose coffee or tea first before juice, only because I don't want you to confuse the GABA's effects with, you know, a sudden rise and drop in blood sugar.
Yeah.
If you're using, you know, something like orange juice, very high glycemic index.
Let's go ahead and just get these other two questions out of the way, because these are people that are sitting here watching the show right now. So this one comes from Jay LeDrew. He says, I'm starting TRT this Wednesday. Sadly, at this time, I am morbidly obese. So where should I perform the sub-Q injections? Thank you. If you're going to do sub-Q, so first, can I jump in on this real quick?
Sure.
I can assure you that you don't want to inject it in where there's a lot of fat. If you inject probably testosterone enanthate or cypionate that you're going to be using, if you hit the fat cells, you're going to end up with a welt, like a golf ball that's going to last like a couple weeks. Trust me on this. I figured this out. I was the first person to start doing sub-Q in 2012. I was talking about it on the show. Dr. Chrysler told me it was a bad idea. Then he wrote a book about it. So the best thing to do is find where you can grab skin and pull it, and it's just skin. And it like if you can do this with it, it's just skin. If you can do this with it like that, it's just skin. If you're pulling skin and it's a lump like this, there's fat under there, don't inject it there, because you will absolutely end up with a welt in a couple days from the benzyl alcohol. It'll irritate the fat cells, and it'll make them inflamed. And I don't even know if you're getting the whole dose when that happens. One of the things I've always thought about was, great, I have this lump here for 22 days. Is it releasing anything, or is it because it's inflamed? Is it not? So make sure it's area where you can grab just skin and pull just skin, and then get the insulin syringe down into there and release the oil there. You won't end up, you'll feel it. You'll feel it on your skin. You'll feel a little blister, it feels like. That's good, because you won't end up with the welt that so many people end up with. Okay, Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something we never talk about. When someone says sub-Q, in my mind, in a lot of people's minds, I think it's, well, you shoot it where the rest of us shoot it, on the lower abdomen, pinch a little bit. But like you said, find an area, I guess, where you're leanest. That could be the top of your thighs. It could be your, arms or forearms.
Or the
and
bottom
go with
of
that.
the thigh. I find that most people, as the thigh gets closer to the knee, there's no fat deposition there. So you can go on the right side or the left side of the thigh, right above the knee. Most people's skin is very thin right there. Just put it right there. Boom.
Yeah, and you know what? My objective would be to get as consistently optimal levels as possible. Get that up. And as far as the obese thing, listen, man, it doesn't matter where you are. It matters where you're going. And it sounds like just by taking the TRT step, he's very serious about where he's going. I bet you in 6 months we'll hear back he's lost a lot.
Let me know if that answers your question, Jay LeDrew. And then this last question from a live listener right now is, bro, do you even towel roll? I love this guy's screen name. It's so funny. So he says, are there any tips or tricks or supplements that would limit heart hypertrophy from anabolic steroid and hard training? Yeah, this is a favorite area. You want to jump in there, and then I'll tell.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a really tough one. It's like, okay, we know if you're using lots and lots of anabolics for a long time, it does result in, at least in some people, left ventricle hypertrophy. We also know people that never touch steroids that lift weights get the same thing. And it's usually never an issue. As far as heart healthy nutrients, I'm no expert in how to shield the heart from damage there. I would think things like tribulus, coenzyme Q10, ribose, things like that we've discussed that show up in studies treating heart maladies, whatever they might be. But I mean, my doctor told me, he said, you got athlete's heart. I said, what does that mean? He said, it's just a little bit bigger. Oh, so what? He said, it goes along with being a bigger person, right? But I'm not aware that there's a list anywhere of protective nutrients. You got thoughts on that?
I do. And this is something that
okay, good.
This is a favorite topic of mine. Okay, good. That answered this question. So this is a favorite topic of mine. The reason that bodybuilders, weightlifters, natural or anabolic steroid users develop hypertrophy or even myopathy of the heart is because of the hemodynamics. Valsalva puts a great deal of strain on the heart. If you're squatting 400, 500, 600 pounds, if you're deadlifting 400, 500, 600 pounds, Valsalva is a momentary pronounced rise in blood pressure. We're talking your blood pressure during a squat or a deadlift could go up to 800 over 600. I mean, we're all looking at 120 over 80. Yeah. I mean, this is what Valsalva is. When you lift weights a lot, the heart gets bigger.
Yeah.
There's two different types of changes in the heart. There's pathological or physiological. Pathological means it's bad. Physiological means the heart's getting bigger and stronger. The way you differentiate the changes is the wall thickness. When the sinus gets bigger, the entire sinus gets bigger, that's good. When the wall gets thicker, the sinus gets smaller, that's bad. So that's pathological versus physiological. When you add anabolic steroids into the mix, hemodynamics change all the time. So not just when you're lifting, but your blood pressure could be higher throughout the day at different times when you're doing things. So the hemodynamics are what change the heart. They make the heart bigger because the heart's having to handle all this pressure. The number one thing, so they did a study on rodents. They clamped the aorta in order to create back pressure into the heart. The same type that we see in the hemodynamic changes of Valsalva, weightlifting, and anabolic steroid use. They gave one group copper, the equivalent of about 2 milligrams a day to a human. And the other group, they let them do what they were going to do. The group that got copper did not see any morphological changes in the heart. The heart did not.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah, the copper is your best friend if you're a weightlifter. Now, if you're eating foods high in copper, which are usually vegetables, they're higher in copper than, say, you get a lot of zinc from beef. You don't get a lot of copper from beef. If you're eating foods that have a lot of copper in them, you're going to be safe. As long as you're getting a couple milligrams a day in your food, do the math, figure it out. But if you're not, buy a chelated or chelated, however you like to say, CHELATED, a chelated copper supplement. It's usually chelated to an amino acid, and start taking 1.5 to 2 milligrams a day. And that will protect your heart from starting to undergo those changes. And I've told this, I have female bodybuilders who've been listening to the shows, and I've had them reach out to me, and their doctor has said, because they're using anabolic steroids, especially testosterone, automatically gives them cardiomyopathy and cardio hypertrophy. And I tell them, make sure you're getting enough copper. And sure enough, they'll start taking copper. They'll go back in a year to have an exam done, and the doctor says, yeah, your heart looks good. We don't see any changes. It's great. Copper. Copper. So every bodybuilder should be taking copper.
And so that's literally could be and is a life-saving tip for those folks. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get back to the questions that were mailed in ahead of time. You're watching and listening to the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish. If you like what you hear, support the show by going to CoachRobRegish.com. Browse around, read some of his stuff. He's got supplements there. He's got books there. The BluePrint, BluePrint Bulletin you can sign up for and get weekly. Is it weekly or monthly?
It is monthly.
Okay, I'm sorry. We get it monthly. That's okay. It's a lot of information. It'll take you the month to go through it. But check it out. Go to CoachRobRegish.com today. Be stronger tomorrow. We'll be right back with more Superhuman Radio.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Do you remember those delicious toasted pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon.
Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamins, L-Butamin, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these 4. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamin. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack.
Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna. But the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it. You'll love it. And it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off. Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. You know, I'm 58 years old, so it's older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, you know, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do this with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. Don't hate us because we feel good.
I didn't have my microphone. I do that a lot lately. Welcome back to Superhuman Radio. This is the BluePrint Power Hour. The next question comes from Lance Bonaconti. Nice Italian name. He says, I just wanted to say thanks for your suggestion about Boswellia serrata. The stuff has been a lifesaver for me and helped a lot with chronic pain. Is there anything new on it?
Yeah, you know, that kind of feedback on Boswellia is very, very common. I get multiple emails every week saying how much it's helped them. And so I'm grateful for that, obviously. But, you know, having this pain that I do, this in my right elbow, you know, severe arthritis, bone on bone, it's nothing, right, compared to people who have it in their hips and knees and other weight-bearing joints. But it did give me an appreciation for what those people go through, and how to address that effectively with supplementation and other techniques to make it through your day and hopefully perform at a level that you want to perform at. So let's first review some of the what I call the base compounds that most people with chronic pain should be using. Fish oil, you know, no secret there. Anywhere from 3 to 12 grams a day I've seen people take. I would encourage you to experiment with products that are a little higher in EPA than DHA, and maybe vice versa, because I hear some pretty profound feedback from some people who, for example, they'll say, you know what, I was taking 6 grams of this regular fish oil every day, wasn't putting a dent in it. I switched to a very high EPA versus DHA ratio. It's a million times better. So fish oil, curcumin, we've discussed that many times, 1 to 2 grams a day, either with bioperin or some other high absorption, compound, I'll call it. BCM 95 is one. Having the curcumin complexed with lecithin and other things like that. Just taking it with some fat will help as well. So curcumin, Cissus quadrangularis, around 1,600 milligrams a day for most formulas. I found one, a super strong one, that's effective at just 600 to 800 milligrams a day. So I'm very happy with that. The Boswellia serrata, if you are going to use it, I would suggest looking for the Apres Flex brand, which is APRES, Apres Flex, if you can get it. It's standardized for the highest percentage of boswellic acids that I've seen. A new one to some people, because I haven't discussed it here yet. Black cumin seed, Thymocid brand, THYMOCID, at around a gram a day. That's not something I've used yet, but I've heard enough good things from enough people that I trust that it's certainly doing something. In some cases, people have reported it working better than anything else, that I just mentioned. Interestingly, some of the people saying that they had the worst pain for the longest period of time. So just take that for what it's worth. Black cumin seed seems to really do the trick for some folks. Glucosamine Chondroitin Msm. By this point, this is known to everyone in the world. It's in every drugstore. It is probably your quote unquote foundation supplement if you have joint pain, especially arthritic issues. 1,500 to 3,000 milligrams a day of glucosamine, about half that for chondroitin and MSM. GLC 2000, like I tell it like it is. They make the best stuff.
Yeah.
If you're going to use glucosamine chondroitin, go to them. Their
Actistatin product is the best.
Yes. Yeah. And the funny thing about that product is you look at the label and you say, you know what, that doesn't look like there's anything special in there. But every single person I've talked to that used it said it was the best stuff they've ever used.
So it takes one molecule of D-glucuronic acid and 3 molecules of L. The bottom line is, in order to make 1 molecule of hyaluronic acid, it takes 2 specific forms of chondroitin and glucosamine. And the thing that's magic in actistatin is they have the exact precursors. So if you just take glucosamine or chondroitin by itself, it has to be broken down to its metabolites. They've isolated the 2 metabolites that, when combined, create hyaluronic acid. That's why people see magic from actistatin. It actually holds 5 patents, that blend. 5 patents. Yeah, good stuff. You were talking about fish oil.
Yeah, you can see why.
I was going to say,
go ahead. Say what you want.
Just real quick. So if you go to superhumanradio.net, go to the bottom, and there's a bunch of little banner ads, little logos at the bottom. If you click the one that says Metagenics, and then hit the little search, and search for SPM Active. SPM Active. SPM Active is the forms of omegas in EPA responsible for shutting off inflammation in the body. Actually, not shutting it off, making it resolve. SPM stands for Special Pro-Resolvin Mediators. What Metagenics has done, they've identified the component of EPA that has this marvelous effect on inflammation, and they have just that. They're tiny little capsules, like the gel caps. You buy a bottle of that, you take 2 a day for about 2 weeks, or until you notice your chronic pain is going away, and then you just take 1 a day. Everybody who takes it tells me that it's not cheap, but it's legit. It's exactly what you said. It's the form of EPA that is responsible for making inflammation solve its problem and bringing it. It doesn't stop inflammation. It makes the inflammation finish its job. SPM Active. Go to superhumanradio.net, bottom of the page, look for the Metagenics logo, click that. When you get to the Metagenics website, just search for SPM Actives. That's it.
Yeah, it explains nicely why I said, people that sometimes switch to higher EPA formulas, boom, all of a sudden
you could eliminate all the other stuff and just get the pro-resolving mediators that way.
Yeah. The last supplement I'll mention falls into the category of you can teach an old dog some new tricks, because forever and a day, I was hearing about how good CBD was.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is interesting, because I had obtained relief, and I'll say significant relief for the elbow, because I was using glucosamine and cesis and fish oil and things like that, I never got around to trying CBD. Well, the wife was at the health food store the other day. She saw some, on sale, 50% off or whatever. Comes home with a bottle of it. I think they're 15 milligram pills. I took two about 3 hours maybe before I went to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not believe the difference that it made. Now, and I'm going to give you the example because this is important. So if my pain is a 10 out of 10 here, and it is whenever I just, try to push hard against something, because the bone's rubbing against the bone, by using glucosamine chondroitin, that brought things down to, let's say, a 6 or a 7. And then cesis brings it down to, let's say, a 5. Fish oil, a 4. CBD brings it down to almost no pain at all.
Did you feel anything? Did you feel sluggish? Did you feel anything else besides the resolution?
No. In fact, I specifically took it that early because I wanted to just sit still. You know what I mean? And I was waiting. I was like, well, I don't feel any relaxation effects. Maybe I didn't take enough. I don't know. But man, I got to tell you, dips, anything above 5 reps was impossible because of the grinding, right, of the bones. I could do lower reps, and that's what I like to do, low reps, heavy weight. But just for yucks, at the end of the workout, I hopped up on the dip bar, and did as many as possible. So, 20 or 30 or something like that. Little to no pain, which in my book is a minor miracle. Now, I will also confess to not being the expert on CBD. And I know you've got a new sponsor, right? Because I heard the commercial.
Yeah, with Planet Earth CBD, they have great products. If you go to superhumanradio.net and go down to the bottom where you'll see all the logos of our sponsors and click CBD, Planet Earth CBD, we have a special right now that's like for people who suffer with pain all day. But we're doing a show with them this week. They have sports-related CBD products. They have protein powder that's infused with CBD. I mean, we're going to be talking about this week. It's funny you bring this up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board. What day is that show?
I don't know. You know who knows? Lisa knows. We got to cover a couple questions here real quick. So Jay LeDrew is the guy who's getting on HRT. He said, should I take copper as well? Can't hurt. People who carry a lot of body weight tend to have enlarged hearts. They tend to be pathologically enlarged. So it can only help you. Danny from Columbia says, thank you so much for sharing this extensive knowledge. Let's see here. Bro, do you even Talro just signed up for the newsletter? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. It looks awesome.
Appreciate that.
Through the archive of past articles. Looks like I've got a lot of reading to do. Thank you both for all you do. Yeah, I mean, Rob has like years of archives in there that you get access to just for signing up.
Almost 100 issues now.
So he says, do you use CBD with or without terpenes? What he's really asking you is, do you know if that product is a full spectrum hemp product or is it just a CBD isolate? Do you know?
I believe it's a full spectrum. If I remember reading the label, I'd have to run over to the kitchen. But I'm glad you asked the question because I guess like other herbs, right, like Raponticum, there are companies that standardize for one of the dozens of ecdysterones in it. And then there are companies like Mass, and in my products, we use full spectrum stuff. So if you have used both, I would be really interested in hearing from you. Because
I've heard full spectrum is the way to go. Everybody that I've talked to about CBD over the past couple of years tells me that there's so much more than just the CBD. There's CBD, there's terpenes, there's like maybe 100 different actives in hemp, And most of the companies are just isolating for CBD now. And I've heard that the full spectrum stuff is really the way to go. So I'm willing to bet yours is full spectrum if it worked that well on you.
Yeah, I think it is. I was, frankly, I was shocked, shocked in a good way. And it's going to warrant, I think, a much deeper dive on my part. And I'm going to start with the show that you're doing this week. So
Dave Hartnett is telling Bro Do Even Tauro he's going to love the BluePrint bulletin. Literally a ton of info. Thank you for the support also, Dave. Thank you so much.
Yeah, really appreciate that, guys. Makes the show possible.
Yeah. Everything here is for free, but we just ask that you patronize the sponsors, and Coach Rob is one of the sponsors. So we have a question here from Scott Reichsteiner. He says, if you had to pick one training program to use to grow on, what would it be? Like you say sometimes, the one with the highest success rate in the general training population.
I don't think he meant it this way. He's really asking a loaded question. He's not trying to trick me, I don't think, but it's a loaded question. And it's loaded because here's the real answer. The best training program for you to grow on is usually the one that you're not currently using, which is a clever way of saying almost all programs work to some degree, but also that they all will eventually stop working as well, right? When your body adapts to them. Now, having said that, there are definitely programs that people do better on than others. And I'm talking about big cross sections, right, of the training population, from the skinniest ectomorph to the biggest endomorph. So let's talk about a few examples. If you are young, and maybe even if you're not, if you're young though, and you don't grow on 20 rep breathing squats and pullovers, you either are doing something very wrong and not following the program or eating, or you're not cut out for weight training. That's how effective that program is. Since the 1930s, it has been turning scarecrows into supermen, and that's no exaggeration. Talk to anyone that's used it and done it right, and they'll tell you the same thing. Secondly, if you've been on 5 sets of 5 for any more than 90 days and you aren't getting anywhere, then something is very wrong. It is an incredibly effective program and flexible. If you've moved your deadlift from 200 for 20 to 300 for 20, but you haven't gained any new muscle, then something is very, very wrong. That something, by the way, is almost always this: diet, right? That's the other huge player in this thing. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is that it's not enough just to get one fundamental in this game right. You need to get all of them right almost all of the time. And that's probably why growing muscle is so vexing, and why, despite scientists' best efforts, they still don't have any universal prescription to right people that consistently and reliably puts muscle on everyone. And I'm not talking about a drug prescription. I'm talking about, here, this is the train. It's vexing. I've spent the better part of the last 35 years trying to find the answer to those questions. And of course, I still don't have all the answers, but I do have some. And I can make some blanket recommendations as to how to go about things if muscle gain is your goal. Number one, you want to have a short list of at least half a dozen programs that you know and methods that your body responds well to. Even better, understand how to sequence them for maximal gain, meaning they just build on each other. Number two, you need to understand precisely how many calories you need to consume on each program, because it does differ, to register a gain. Even a minimal gain is useful, because that also helps to establish your minimal caloric level that you will need. And three, calories are more important to establish than even macros. You can eat the absolute world's perfect macros, matched to your physiology. It's not going to do you a damn bit of good if your calories are too low. Go go ahead. You can use whatever program you want. You can even use drugs with this, and then eat 1,000 calories a day. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and that's how important it is. And then finally, number 4, you want to establish how many hours of deep, restful sleep that you need each day to perform on that training program. And again, it differs. Why does it differ? Because the energy demands of one all-out set of 20-rep breathing squats is quite different than mowing your way through 5 sets of 10 total tonnage, okay, where you're performing 50 reps, but over the course of 5 sets. And that's just one exercise. For most people, it's hard to make a blanket recommendation, but for most people, 7 hours of sleep and up is what you want to shoot for. What do most people do instead? They don't change their training because they're comfortable with it. They don't change their diet or rest habits. Instead, they buy new supplements. And we all know how that goes, right? And it doesn't matter what I say. Nothing's going to change that. It's always going to be human nature, I think. I would tell you to stop looking for the best program and instead identify at least 6 good ones. Fill in the other blanks and consistently deliver on them, and you will stand a chance of gaining. I'll tell you, the single biggest thing you can do to accelerate your progress is to consult someone on the programs that they think would work best for you. Because if it's someone like me, I've been through 35 years of trial and error. I wasted, by my own estimates, a large part of my 30s trying God knows how many different things that didn't work, and a couple that did. If you can pick someone's brain like that, do it. Take them out to lunch, take them out to dinner, pay them for a session, for whatever. Do it. Just do it. It's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and probably keep you from getting injured, which is why my 30s was a big mistake. I couldn't train as effectively as possible because I had a glass back. And it took me until age 43 to figure out how to fix it. So don't learn the hard way. That's all I'm saying.
Remember, muscle is, from an evolutionary standpoint, not something your body wants. Strength, your body wants strength. Don't. But muscle is very calorically expensive. The more muscle you have, the more you have to eat. And we spent millions of years being strong enough to do the things that we need to do on a day-to-day basis without putting on extra muscle, because then we had to go hunt for more food.
Right. It's actually detrimental.
Yeah. It's so your body is designed not to easily put on muscle. Everyone is. But there are people who have figured out what works for them. And that's the important thing. Seth Andrews says, how's your son doing? How are you training him? I'd like to know, because I have a 12-year-old who I'd like to help too.
Well, the good news is Maximus is doing great. I appreciate you asking. He is 14 now. He is almost 6'2", and he shows no signs of slowing down. I started training him at age 12, like your son, is turning or is. And I'll tell you, I'm glad that I did. Do not believe the nonsense that training or even weights will stunt his growth, will do something to his growth plates. If anything, I think the kid's going to grow taller because he's going to have more growth hormone and transient hits within the days that he's training. He's also going to learn, hopefully, good sleep habits from you, which we know is when people in their teens grow the most. In 2 years, my son came a long way. He could barely do squats, body weight squats on both legs. And today he can stand on one leg, squat all the way down, and I mean all the way down, pause, and then come back up with 80 additional pounds. Combined 60-pound dumbbell, 20-pound weight vest. He did that the other day in the gym. And he is on his way to being able to do that with 100 pounds.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't think it's any big deal. But I tell you, like the people stop to watch him do it because, I don't know, maybe they've never seen it before. His weight is up to 175 pounds,
wow.
which for reference is he is now 30 pounds heavier than I was when I graduated high school. So 4 years ahead of that. He is not consciously overeating like I did. He doesn't have a body image disorder like I did, but he's putting good weight on. How I've been training him really is not too much different than how I train myself. He uses a handful, and I would encourage your son to learn a handful of big compound multi-joint exercises and follow the law of progressive resistance. We make small jumps in weight, reps, or both every week. Kiddo doesn't have the bug for weight training like I did. So we plan accordingly. He trains with me twice a week for around an hour at a time. Yeah. Could he train more frequently? Absolutely, at age 15. But do I want him to, dread the gym? No. I want him to look forward to it. His goals are different than mine. My goal when I started was get big and get big fast. And it didn't necessarily matter if some fat came along with it. If I gained weight, I was in a great mood. If I didn't gain weight or, God forbid, lost weight, I was depressed for weeks. So we train twice a week just for an hour at a time. I try to make his training fun. He brings a friend with him, which is great because although I tell them constantly this is not a competition, there is naturally a bit of a rivalry, right, on the same exercises. Now, as for diet, I'm trying to educate him, and I want you to educate your son on the importance of whole foods, which ones contain which macros. I got a father that has no idea that potatoes are full of carbs. I'm not kidding you, you learn that. They give it lip service in school, the food pyramid and all that crap.
Oh yeah, they tell them beans is a good source of protein, or they could tell them beans is a protein.
Right.
I love that. The stupidity in that. Like if they even just looked at a can of beans, they'd go, "Oh, a serving of beans is 6 grams of protein and 34 grams of carbohydrates." Yeah. Like that's not a good source of protein. It's a good source of carbohydrates.
Right. And so just educating them on big picture things like that is good. It's preferable. Peripherally, he understands what a low carb diet is because when he comes over, me and my wife, most of the time, we're eating very low carbs. He has heard and knows a little bit about intermittent fasting. He's not doing any of those things now because
but he's exposed to them. He's exposed to them. That's
exactly.
The
magic. That you said it. That's the magic.
No parent goes up to their kids and goes, "Hey, you want to smoke a cigarette?" Right? The kid just quietly watches the parent smoke cigarettes. Well, next thing you know, he's 12 years old. He's out with his friends. They're smoking cigarettes. Well, how did that happen? Because he was exposed to it.
Right.
Exposed to it in an environment where his parents were doing it. And we learned, look, people love to say we get our genetics from our parents. We do. But we also get our lifestyle from our parents. And if you live a healthy, clean lifestyle, your son or daughter see that you place a great deal of importance on going to sleep at a certain time. They may not want to do it now because they're young and they want to stay up and watch Nickelodeon. But trust me, when they start on their own autonomous path in life, they're going to do the things that they saw you and your wife do. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's important.
I mean, that's the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're almost now at the end of 3 years of training. I'll let you think about it. And so I'll wrap this up by telling you what has been important to me and important to him, and by extension should be important, I think, to your son. Number one, he's building habits. Most people can't train consistently or don't make it a priority. Training twice a week, he's been doing that for 3 years. So now it's routine. It's like getting up and brushing your teeth. You just do it every day. It's part of you and part of your schedule. He's also learning about hard work and just how hard he can push himself. He's had a few days where he pushed a little too hard. He also has days where he doesn't push hard enough, and that's where I give him a little encouragement. The point is, that's a learning process, and it's different for everyone, okay? He's also learning about the importance of hard, consistent work. I regularly remind him, it wasn't all that long ago, that he could not do a single dip or a pull-up. They used the Gravitron machine, right? But it wasn't long. And now he's doing dips and chins with extra weight tied around his waist.
Right.
Right. And so he's getting an appreciation also of how eating certain foods can help or hurt you. And importantly, he's had a few nights of very poor sleep. That, you can count them on one hand in 3 years, like all of us, right? But some of those were due to poor choices, like staying up late playing games, right, on his electronics. I made absolutely sure that he deadlifted and did sled sprints and other demanding stuff the next day so that he could experience for himself how much sleep mattered. And believe me, he got it. He got it. And then finally, I lead by example, and I know you will too. I never ask them, my son and his friend, to do anything that I wouldn't do or they haven't already seen me doing. And I think at the end of the day, that is the most powerful thing that training with your kids can do for them. They look up to you, whether they'll admit that or not. That's the case. They look at you for everything, to learn how to walk or talk, right, to your actions and how you spend your free time and what you eat and what time you go to bed. Very, very important that you lead by example. You can't do it any other way. And finally, I'll say this. It's a great example of it's not important to get it perfect. It's just important to get it started. So start training with your son now. If you don't know what to do in some instances, you fill in the blanks at a later date. I can absolutely promise you, though, you will both be better off for it.
We're going to take our last commercial break. Today is a long show, but it's good. We had a lot of people participate. We had a lot of questions to answer. When we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. Stay tuned. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. For mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive-free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/ as assessed today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat, snack, or seasoning. Savor the flavor today. Among the easiest and most popular ways to experience the life-altering benefits of hemp, Planet Earth CBD soft gels offer fast-acting effects as they release quickly. Made in a GMP-compliant, US FDA-registered facility, you can count on Planet Earth's safe soft gels. These soft gels provide temporary relief from pain and so much more. Manufactured with the calming combination of chamomile and melatonin, you got yourself a long-needed CBD solution. 25 milligrams of nano-emulsified hemp extract per serving with anti-inflammatory agency. Planet Earth sleep-supporting soft gels will have you forgetting about today's worries for a better tomorrow. Unwind with Planet Earth CBD today.
Are you still on the fence about Body Protection Complex BPC Oral from drseeds.com? Listen to Maggie Kuhn, one of the owners of the C-Bus Lifting Company gym in Columbus, Ohio.
I had been having some nagging tendon issues that weren't injuries, just things that were annoying. I'm 58 years old, so just older tendon kind of issues. For us powerlifters, we really don't stop training when we have just nagging issues. We just kind of keep pushing through. And I started the BPC. What I noticed was I was doing some heavy tricep stuff that would have killed me before when I had an elbow problem, and I was able to do those with literally no pain at all.
Go to drseeds.com, drseeds.com. Use coupon code SHR and save 20% off your bottle of BPC Body Protection Complex today. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamins, L-Butamin, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these 4. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamin. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel.
I just got to say something real quick. For those of you who just heard the Good Health Sauna spot, if you want to win a $5,700 3-person corner, this is like top of the line, fits in the corner of a room, takes up so little space. Put it in your bedroom, put it anywhere. Made out of amazing, beautiful wood. Good Health Saunas has the best warranty in the industry, the best customer service in the industry, and no EMF and nothing toxic in the wood that they make the saunas out of. The stuff is amazing. You can win a $5,700 3-person sauna. It's infrared sauna. Go to shrnetwork.biz/free sauna and enter. Once we have 300 entries, the drawing is going to happen. So the odds are good. The odds are good. We're not going to just run it for months and months and months and gather thousands and thousands. Once we have 300 entries, that's when we're going to pick a winner. And then we'll get you on the air after it's delivered, and you can tell us how much you love it and all that sort of stuff. So again, go to shrnetwork.biz/free sauna to enter today. Don't miss out, because we could reach 300 tomorrow and your chance will be gone. So do that right away. Okay. Go ahead, Rob. What is the BluePrint tip of the day?
The tip of the day is about being strong enough to walk away. And so recently I made some wholesale changes to my training based upon some new science that I found. And one of my goals was to make it through 5 sets of 10 on trap bar deadlifts with 315 pounds, but resting 2 minutes or less in between sets, which is certainly no world record, but it is a world away. It's a world away from my typical training. for my main lifts, for basically anything. Normally, I train with low volume, very heavy weights, and obviously low reps. In fact, the joke used to be anything more than 5 was high reps to me. And I would rest in between sets for reference, sometimes 10, 15 minutes to allow also the central nervous system, which takes longer to recover. But all that was out the window. So I came across this new research that basically showed combining greater lower body volume or total tonnage with heavier, higher intensity work for the upper body yielded a much greater result in terms of strength, in terms of actual muscle growth, everything, even fat loss. So I went all in on this stuff. The first workout though, right, I put 315 on the bar because I knew it was going to be close, or so I thought. It didn't go so well. By the time I got to set number 3, I was so gassed and gasping for breath. I felt like a fish that had just been thrown out of water, you know. So I wasn't necessarily out of strength, but I was out of breath. And at that point, it does make you weak, right? So what I did was I stopped there. And 3 sets. I stopped there and I said to myself, okay, look, these last 2, you might be able to get those last 2 sets of 10, but you're going to be absolutely flattened. So the deal I made with myself was this: I get 3 sets of 10 this time, but next workout I was going to be 4 sets of 10. And even if it feels really easy, I'm going to resist the temptation to do that 5th set and save it for the next week. Okay. So the next workout I did, I got 4 sets of 10. Now it was still quite an effort due to the oxygen debt again, but it wasn't quite as bad as the first time. And
Rob, you dropped out completely after you said the word still.
Still.
Still,
it was still quite an effort. Did you hear that?
Okay. No, that we didn't hear. There you go.
Okay. So it wasn't quite as bad as last time, but my body was starting to adapt, and my VO2 max and my breathing was catching up to my actual strength levels. And consequently, I blew through 4 sets of 10 like it was butter. At that point, you reach a critical juncture. Do I honor the deal I made with myself, or do I magnify my ego by trying to get this last set of 10? And I was strong enough to stop and walk away and say to myself, there's no timeline here. There's nobody in this gym that cares whether I get 5 sets of 10, 4 sets, or no sets. The only person that's driving that is me. And so I walked away knowing that next Monday, I'm going to do those 5 sets of 10. And not only am I going to do it, but I'm not going to be flattened at the end of it. I'm going to actually probably feel pretty refreshed. So that only comes, though, with age and wisdom. And you have to check your ego a little bit to resist the temptation to go farther. And so for those of you wondering, I have a few guidelines that might help you insofar as doing enough, but not so much that it kills your training momentum or you get injured. So here are some guidelines as to when it's time to walk away. Number 1, always leave a workout feeling good. If you're leaving a workout barely walking or throwing up, you can bet your future workouts are going to be a real bear. Number 2, always leave a rep in the tank. Those words were spoken to me and came directly from Bill Kazmaier, on many counts, the world's strongest man. I think he still hosts the world's strongest man competitions. Number 3, when your hands start to tremble, you're no longer working on your muscles. You're frying your central nervous system. That's what that means. Now, modern day pre-workouts have kind of clouded some of that feedback, right? Because that trembling might be the 600 milligrams of caffeine you slammed before the workout. But check, it's something that your body will usually tell you, hey, we've gone beyond exhausting the muscles. You're just running down the central nervous system. And then number 4, if you are limited because you don't have the wind to make it through your workouts versus, a real strength decrement, stop and give your body the time it takes to adapt, which may be days or it may be weeks. You can't force it. If you do try to force it, there will be consequences. That's all I can tell you. There will be consequences. And I've suffered those consequences, and I don't want you to suffer those consequences. What are they? You're going to flatline real fast. You might get injured. You might get sick. You might have rhabdo. I hit the whole cycle. And believe me, I got the hospital bills to prove it. Don't be dumb. Walk away with something in the tank so that you can come back, nail it, and then continue to progress. And the number one way to do that, in my opinion, is knowing when to walk away. If you are strong enough to walk away, then you will ultimately succeed, and you will be healthy enough to look back on your accomplishments. Cultivate that ability now, and you will surely wind up bigger, stronger, and in better condition in the future.
A great way to do that is write out your training for that day and treat it like a prescription. And if your last set is supposed to be X amount of pounds times 8 reps, and you hit 8, you think, I got 9 or 10 in me. Don't do 9 or 10. Save it for next time. Treat your workouts like what you write down before you get to the gym. Treat them like a prescription.
Yeah,
there you go. I love it. Great stuff.
That's interesting. I've been doing that without even thinking about it.
Yeah, treat it like a prescription. If if the natural progression from last week's workout is this, then stick with that. Even if all of a sudden you go, man, I can get 2 more reps out. No, save it for the next workout. There's always going to be another workout.
Right, exactly.
If you don't injure yourself.
Right.
All right, Rob, great stuff. CoachRobRegish.com is the place to go. Check it out. Thank you for everybody who's here today, helping me give Facebook the big middle finger. Great show today, everybody.
And thank you for the support on the bulletin.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. We'll see you about it tomorrow with more Super Human Radio. Please share the show and help other people. See you tomorrow.